Hey guys, this is John, and I am back with a revision to the previous item categorizer. So we had a Miss Liliana Hudler in the comment section of the categorizer video say that she'd like to be able to connect the system to another system and like to make it more automatic to where you didn't have to push a button, which is something that we come to expect from an item sorter, right? Because, for the past 15 years, whatever, we've been using the impulse sorter where you just put items in and it's pretty much automatic. So I didn't really, consider that when I made this because I just, assumed most of us would just be walking up and then putting a bunch of junk in the chest and pushing a button. But it would be nice to actually have it automatic whenever you have items coming in from an item mob farm or some other type of farm or something like that. So I went ahead and made a little an extra little section here. So if you would like it to be automatic, this is how you do it. So we're pretty much just making it to where an item input into the chest will trigger the comparator, which will activate this comparator here to launch the minecart. And then as the minecart goes around the track, it's going to hit a detector rail, which is going to flip this latch here made by these two droppers. So when the bottom dropper fires, the item's going to come up, this comparator is going to read, and that's going to turn off the minecart launcher. And then if you have more items in the chest, whenever the item sorter gets done sorting, then it's just going to reset the latch, which would allow that to turn back on and launch the minecart again. So it was a pretty simple way to do it, because there were quite a few different ways to do it. There's actually a lot of different scenarios that you have to take into consideration when you make something like that. But anyway, so you can now just put items into the input chest, and I don't have many junk items, but so if you just put items in, it'll automatically launch. And if there are multiple item types, then it's going to sort out the items. Of course, I don't have a place for the comparators. And then, with the next item, it's going to launch to look for that item. So it's pretty much the same thing, except now it's automatic. You don't have to have a button, and you can have something like an input line running into it. Okay, so if you've already looked at how to make the previous one, so I'll show you how to convert it, and then I guess if you're new to the concept or new to the video, then I guess I can show you how to make an entire, sorter. That'll probably be a little bit longer of a tutorial, but so if you've already worked on this or have one made, then we can just go ahead and convert it. So I'll start by just breaking the dust for the launcher, and we can go ahead and clear some of this out. So we're going to have to turn this. So, oops, wasn't supposed to hit that one. Alright, and up here we're going to want to block with a torch. Okay, and that is going to be dust going into the back of a comparator. And we're going to need another block here with dust, and then a block above the dust. Alright, and we're going to put a repeater and a comparator here, because we're going to need that to turn off that top comparator. And behind this comparator, we need to go ahead and put a, already have the droppers. Okay. So we need to put a dropper facing down. And let's see, we're going to need to put a dropper facing up here. Alright, and this stuff is going to have to come out. And I guess I can go ahead and take that up too. So we're going to need a detector rail here in front of the item elevator. And we're going to need a torch on that. And let's see if I can do this without moving the... Yeah. Is that how I want it? 1, 2. Give me a second here. This is kind of a new concept. Let's see, 1, 2. Okay. That one turns off, turns on. Let me just make sure. Oh, okay, yeah. It's like a falling edge. Okay. Okay, that's good. Alright, and let's see, we're going to need another block here with a torch to power that line. And I think that's about it. So we can just put our item in the dropper there. And put our dust back here. Alright, so to make the input hopper line, so if you had a block here with the redstone lamp, and if you'd like to keep the redstone lamp there as an indicator, then if you need, if you have a solid block here in the front, you can just use that to light up the lamp. So you have to replace the dust there with a repeater. And we're going to put a hopper going into that chest. Then on top of that, we're going to put a couple chests. So you don't have to put a chest here. You know, like if you have some other item input, hopper line coming down, whatever, that's where you go. And the reason we're going into the side of the chest here is because if we put a hopper there, then while items are, you know, going through, this repeater is going to be powered. So that would, you know, lock up the hopper and prevent any items from going down. So you don't really want it to, you know, to do that. So it's better to just have the hopper going down into the bottom or onto the side there. But anyway, so you can put items into the side here, or you can get rid of that button, or you can just put items back into the front of the chest here, like we did before. So that will launch the minecart, flip the latch. Items are going to sort. And if we have a different item in the chest, then when that resets, that is going to allow it to launch again. Okay, so there you go. That is it. And yeah, just making sure you can still access the chest. On the other one over there, I just wrapped the rail around differently, but you don't have to change anything else like this. Alright, so if you're new here and you would like a whole tutorial for this, ooh, get ready for some pain. Alright, so we're going to start with the rails on the side. Let's see, you want 1 rail and then 6 powered rails. So oops, So we're going to have to move that. Alright, curved rail, 3 powered rails. And this is where we are going to be placing the detector rail there. Alright, so we have a depth of 8 blocks here. So just put down 6 powered rails. Then you go 3 powered rails here, and then start with your curve with your normal rails. So you want 2 normal rails and then the detector rail there. And then after the detector rail, you can just put down some more powered rails. And that's going to be where your output section begins. Alright, so we will start with the input hoppers here. So you're going to want 2 hoppers pointing in this direction, a third, and then a 4th hopper. Okay. And then come up with 2 blocks here, and we're going to put in 2 more hoppers. So this is going to be our item filter. And you can either use glass here or half slabs, but I just normally use glass. Alright, so going into the second hopper there, we're going to put some redstone and a repeater, and then just bring our redstone around like that. Come back with some solid blocks there, and put down a comparator. You want 2 dust there with a torch. Okay, so this is just a typical item filter. Oops, let's see. Okay, so you can just put down a repeater here to turn off the comparator. It doesn't matter if the comparator is in subtract or compare mode. And then going above the track here, put down a block with a torch, with a block on top, and then run some blocks along the side here, all the way up to cover the comparator. Alright, and we're just going to bring some dust back like that. And that's going to lock the top hopper. Alright, so I can put down our input chest, hopper going into the side, with another chest on the side, or on the top of that, with another hopper going into the side. Okay. And let's see, I can go ahead and put some furnaces down. And then on top of this first furnace, put down a normal rail. And then we want a powered rail there. Okay, and we're going to need a dropper elevator. So that is going to go, not right there, right there. Alright, so you want 4 droppers to begin the dropper elevator. Okay, so coming down below the lower dropper, we're going to put down a repeater block. In fact, I'll just go ahead and put blocks under all of this just so you can, see the redstone and what's required. Alright, so put a block, dust redstone there. Above the repeater here, go ahead and put down a block with a block above the dust. And then that's where we are going to put our comparator there. Okay, so coming back from the side of the block underneath the dropper, put down 2 dust, with dust coming up into the side of the comparator. And coming off on the side of that block, go ahead and put down a torch, or a block with a torch. And we're going to need a block here, block above the torch, and then dust there with a torch on top. Okay, so this is a little dropper elevator. And then we can go ahead and put some blocks behind the droppers with, let's see, there's my observer. Alright, so just come back with some observers pointing forward. And above the torch, put down one observer with a torch on top. Okay, so that is a completed dropper elevator, a completed silent dropper elevator. Okay. Alright, so to start the output section, right here in front of, or on top of this powered rail, I'm going to put down a chest. And I'll just make this just a few. Alright, so you want to put down however many chests you're going to need. So we're going to start the output by putting observers, pointing an observer into the chest. And we're going to need some temporary blocks here because we're going to be making some little dropper latches. Alright, so you want to put a dropper facing up or facing down. And then put droppers pointing up into the top droppers. Alright, and we can go ahead and put down hoppers on top of the chest, pointing down into the chest, with comparators coming off of these droppers. Okay, so pretty easy. Next to the torch there, behind the lower droppers, we're going to be putting down a line of blocks, with another line of blocks there, because we need to put down comparators to read the droppers. Alright, and in front of the comparators, put another row of blocks. And we're going to need to come out with some temporary blocks in the front. And this is where, oops, we are going to be putting our output hoppers. Alright, and I think like I said in the last video, you're going to need an overflow. And that's just going to be coming, one off the side of your normal, normal sorters, however you want to say it. So you can put a hopper going down into the overflow hopper, and then just run a line of hoppers back until you get to the dropper elevator. Alright, next, this is going to be our output hoppers, just like that. And we can go ahead and put some filler items into these droppers. You only need one item. Make sure you only have one item. And it doesn't want to matter what they are as long as it's cheap. Okay. So that's all done. So we can go ahead and start with the, what I need to do is put in the launching section. So behind the powered rail, go ahead and put down a block. Let's see. And behind that block, we're going to need to put down redstone dust. And with a block on the side, so coming next to the comparator here, you're going to want a repeater at 4 ticks. And this is going to be what actually powers the Minecart launcher. So you're going to need to make sure you have a full block here, right? So right below that chest, full block. Okay. So coming off of the repeater there, just put down a block. And this is where we're going to be making a little tower there. Alright, so next, coming off of the input chest, well, you can see off the hopper there, we need to put down a block so we can put a comparator. And this is going to be going to a block with a torch. Above the torch, go ahead and put down another block. And I'll redo this all in a second, but just to get it started. Okay. So we're going to take that torch up, or take some redstone up, and this is going to be where we put in our torch there. Okay. So you can put a dust there with a comparator. And of course that is going to be coming down to dust. That powers our minecart launcher. So for now I'm just going to go ahead and remove the dust. Alright, so coming off the side of the comparator, you want to block with dust. And just bring a couple blocks out. So this is where we're going to be putting down our repeater and our comparator. And let's say I'm going to go ahead and put a block there and put a dropper pointing down. And a few temporary blocks here and put in our dropper pointing up. Alright, and coming off of the detector rail there, put down a torch, going to a block with a torch, going to a block. Ooh, did this in the wrong direction. Let's see. Oh, you know what I did? I put the dropper too far down. Whoopsie. Yeah, you want to make sure that the top dropper is behind the comparator. Otherwise, you know, it won't have anything to read. Alright, so dropper pointing up into the bottom of that dropper. Okay, so we have our torches here, and then a third torch there to power the dropper. Okay, getting close. This is quite a long build. Okay, so we're gonna put some blocks coming around. In fact, let's see. So you're gonna need to make a couple blocks out because we're going to need a block here, because this is where our, if you're new, this is where our hopper minecart is going to be driving forward. So we're going to need a block here to make sure that the hopper minecart will hit that and then fall down onto the powered rail there. So I'm just going to take a line of blocks, take a line of blocks straight back here until we get to this hopper here. And we can just lay down some powered rails there, with some powered rails going over these hoppers. And let's grab a normal rail. Alright, with a normal rail there. Okay. So yeah, it's quite a long build. And it's much worse in survival. Yeah, it took me a while to build mine because I kept having to go get more material. So anyway, we can go ahead and make sure you have some blocks on all the side of these droppers here, and we can go ahead and run some dust. Let's see. And you can put a block above the rail there with the dust on top of that. Okay. So we're going to need to put in some comparators here. So just take a few blocks above the comparators, starting by the dropper elevator there. So your first output chest, you're going to want a comparator coming off of this hopper behind that. Then you can skip a block and then put another. Okay, and on the block above that, go ahead and put down some redstone dust, not right there, with repeaters connecting them all. Alright, and just take a couple blocks over. Yeah, we're going to need one above the chest there. So you want to come out with a repeater here going into this block above the rail. And just as before, this is where we're going to be building a timer. So you just want to make it where you have a comparator with a block in the front and the back and a block above with dust connecting everything. And we can go ahead and remove these temporary blocks from the front and back. Okay. And that way we can make sure that our dust is actually running down, so we're not cutting the dust off. Alright, so coming off the front where the comparator comes out, you're going to want a block with a repeater. And off the front of the repeater, you're going to want a block with a torch. Okay. So that should have fired all of our droppers. So all of our comparators should now be lit up, which they are. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and finish the rail section here. Alright, so you're going to want 2 blocks there. Coming off of our first hopper here, you're going to want to come out with 2 blocks. Let's see. With a transparent block like that, so that we can run some rails down. And coming off the bottom here, you're going to want to be able to run some rails up. Not like that. You need to make sure that they connect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Make sure it's like that. Alright. And finally, yeah. I'll have to test that out and make sure that can work, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that'll work. Alright, so we can just power that by putting down a torch there. And likewise, to power this rail, we can just put down a torch with or a block with a torch there. And I don't think that one needs a torch. This one you can just put a torch anywhere in the back. Let's see. And to power that one, we can put a block with a torch there. And let's see, what else do we have? Let's see. There's so much involved, I want to make sure I don't miss anything. One thing I did forget, make sure that whenever you make the item filter, you do include a torch with a block above. Okay. I don't think I explained this before, but to only allow, you only need to allow, or you can only allow one item to pass through the item filter at a time. And so what happens here is the comparator is only going to output a signal of 2 pulses, so you have 2 ticks on because we have the repeater there. So what's going to happen is this torch is going to turn off for 2 ticks and then turn back on. And what that means is that that torch, whenever this one turns off, that torch is going to turn on and repower the line, right? So that's only going to allow this line to be turned off for 1 tick. Yeah. So let's see, what else do we have here? Am I actually done? Because I thought it would be another like 30 minutes. All right. So to go ahead and make the facade, you can put down, if you want to be able to access a chest, which it doesn't matter, but you can put down a block there. And we're going to, excuse me, above the rail there, put down a block with dust, with a block above that, with a repeater going into that. In fact, I think we could actually just run dust coming down and save a repeater. Let's see, we'll have to test it. Alright, so if you're building a facade, that's where I would put the redstone lamp. Okay. So above the corner rail there, you can put down a dust. And this is going to be where we put down our input lamp there. Oh, wait. Yeah, not a dust. That's where we need to put a repeater. Alright, so we can run our hopper line into here. And like I said, you can either put a chest here if you want to come from the side, or if you want to come from the top. You know, you can run hoppers down, or you can just put a chest here, you know, and alternate hoppers and chests. You know, if you're coming down from the top, that way that can save you a little material. Okay, so finally I think we're ready for the minecart to be put in place. So hopper minecart, and I think it was just assumed whenever I made the last videos, but the items that you put in the filter, you're going to want to rename them in an anvil. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you how to do that in case you're a noob. So we can get an anvil. And let's get some new sticks here. So we'll just put this as filler. Alright, so you're going to want 19111 in the filter hopper. And in the hopper minecart, you're just going to want 4 items there. Yeah. Okay. So now we can go back and set up our, also make sure that you have an item in this dropper here. Yeah. So go ahead and put an item in the lower dropper there. And whenever you're setting up your chests, just put whatever items you would like to be in that output. So here I'll just put some redstone, and we can just put a couple stone blocks here. Some cobblestone, and let's see, that's fine for that. And so also like I said before, you're going to need to make sure that these are reset. Now what I did in my world, I built like a wall around the entire thing here. And the way that you access these, because these are, oh, you know what, I did not, yep, we are going to have to move this. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't consider that we were going to make these double chests. Yep, so I'll go ahead and expand these. Okay. So yeah, that's why I moved all this in the beginning. Yeah. Alright, so run your rails around like that. And then we can just do the same thing we did before. Torch coming off the block with the detector rail, going to a block above it with a torch. Block above that with another torch. Right there. Okay. So yeah, like what I was saying before was I built in my survival world, I built a wall around this. And to be able to access the chest, I actually put a door right here to where you simply just, you know, walk up onto the rail and then you can come up and access all of these. And then to be able to reset this, so every time I added an item, I had to reset it. So instead of having to jump up here and turn the dust on and off every time, what I actually did was just put a block up here with a button there. Yeah. So this is just something to consider if you're going to make this. Then you can just, you know, hit that button, or actually you can just put a button here. You know. So as long as the sorter is not running, you don't want to ever do anything like that while it's running. You know, if you have items in the input, then and you go hitting the button back here, then that's going to break everything. But whenever you're accessing the index and putting new items in, you can just, you know, when you get done, you can hit a reset, and that'll make sure that all the hoppers, that everything is going to be locked up. Okay. Finally, one thing I forgot is the game loading switch. And if you didn't watch my other videos, I learned accidentally that when you have observers detecting a chest with an item in the chest, whenever you load the game, that observer is going to fire. And because the way that the index works, we're using observers to detect items in a chest, you know? So, like I said previously, whenever you load the game, if you had any items in these chests, like these two, then the system would actually unlock. So then if I went and put items into the input to try to sort, well, these are already both unlocked, so then, you know, items would just get all messed up and it would break everything. So the way that you correct that is by putting a chest here with an item, with an observer facing that chest, and go ahead and put down a repeater at 4 ticks, going into a block. So what's going to happen is that every time the game loads, then it is going to reset the entire system, which is very, very necessary. And aside from that, I did notice the other day that whenever you are leaving the area and you unload the chunk, and then whenever you come back, sometimes it will do the same thing, you know. So it's good to make sure that you have the game loading switch here. Or I guess I could call it a chunk loading switch. So anyway, let's see, what else do we need? I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Oh, you know what I forgot to do was put our dust in place. Yeah, there you go. Alright, so we got a redstone, and we can let's put a couple different items in there. And I'll just put these in there. Alright, and while it's doing that, I will show you if you want to make a facade in the front. Let's see. I'll just build a little platform here with a little wall, and I'll go ahead and replace that one. And let's see, I think I put a stairs there. Yeah. Let's see. And because you're going to have a double chest here on the output, if you want to be able to put item frames, then just go ahead and put reversed stairs here. And that way you can put item frames in the front. Yeah. And you can pretty much just do whatever you want to do. If you need to put in more chests, then you can just put down a bunch of different chests here. And then you can come into the back with more hoppers. I think I'm gonna get stuck down here. Yeah. Okay. But actually this is gonna be an overflow, so you probably don't need that many chests there. And I think it sorted through everything. Yep. Alright, so that is pretty much it. Now, it was a long build. If you watched all the way through, thank you for your patience. So I guess that's it. If anybody else has any questions or needs any help, then feel free to let me know. Like I said before, that this is infinitely expandable. You can expand the output section as long as you need, but I don't think you should need that much. You know, overall, it's a pretty cheap system. Technically, for every output chest, you're really only using 3 hoppers. You know, so it's just like an impulse as far as the amount of iron that you're going to be using. But the only difference is that you can sort up to, 54 different items into one output chest, So it is pretty worthwhile considering, you can put so many different outputs. And I know I mentioned it before, but if you would like to make it quieter, you can replace these droppers with hoppers. And the way that you do that is by simply, replacing the droppers with hoppers. And then if you go to sort an item, it's going to be much quieter, and it's going to work the exact same way. The main difference is that we don't have that big click at the end. Yep. Okay. So that is all. So again, if anybody needs any help or has any other questions or would like to offer any other advice on something else that needs to be done, feel free to let me know. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.